Hello. I want to show you how to use calculator to find the annuity. So this one is using the formulas to find the annuity for section 8.5, 8.6, and so on. This is all annuity. So let's look at the question 1 here. Use the appropriate formula to find the value of an annuity. So first, what is an annuity? Annuity basically is kind of you have a periodical payment. Okay. In this course, we have called regular annuity. So we pay at the end of the period. That's the annuity we're gonna use in here. All right. So periodical payment, you pay the same amount. For example, like the car loan. If you go to the dealer, buy a car, right, and you pay the dealer every month $500, same amount every month for like 3 years or 5 years, that is an annuity. You purchase an annuity, that kind of thing. All right. So look at this one right here. This one is for the deposit. You deposit $8,000 at the end of the year, each year for 40 years, okay? And you compound 5% annually. So we want to find the value of the annuity in here. So if you look at the formula in the provide formula, P is the deposit made at the end of each compounding period. P is the annual rate of the annuity at a decimal point. Okay, N is the number of compounding per year. A is the value of the annuity after T years. So for this one, we want to calculate the value of an annuity. So we basically using this one right here. Okay, and then we have a principal, and then we have a principal. P is the deposit made at the end of each compounding, not the principal. So it's the deposit amount. It's different than our regular compound. So this is annuity. That means you deposit several times during this time period. This one is different than our previous compound interest. Compound interest is like we deposit $8,000 at one time, and then you just let it compound for 40 years. We don't deposit anything after that. So it's one-time deposit. Those are the regular compound. Annuity is you deposit several times during the time period. Look at it. This one, 40 years, basically you deposit 8,000 for the year 1, another 8,000 for the year 2, and year 10, year 20, year 30, year 40, and so on, right? So that is this kind of thing, like you save for the retirement or for the college, expense. So you deposit like certain amount each year for a certain period of the time. This is called annuity. So you have a periodical deposit. That's the annuity. All right. So the book here is using a formula, but I want to show you the app in the TI calculator, which is very easy. You go to the apps in here, and then for the application, you go into the finance. So I enter the finance using the TBM solver, and that will give you the annuity in here. So built in here is the total number of the deposit times. So let's look at our question here. Our question here, trying to find the question here. Okay, so the question here is 8,000 deposit at the end of the year. So you deposit one time a year, okay? And for 40 years. So 8,000 is the periodical payment. So we have deposit one time for 40 years. So basically we deposit 40 times. The interest rate is 5%. The good news is this one is already using a percentage. So we don't have to change into decimal point. The present value here is 0 because I don't have anything to begin with. So we just deposit, from beginning. The payment amount, PMT is the payment amount. Payment amount is we have 8,000, right? We're gonna deposit $8,000 a year for 40 years. Future value is the one we're gonna come back to calculate. Payment per year, since we only pay one time, and compound per year, we also compound one time. And this payment amount is paid at the end of the year. So that's the ordinary annuity. That's usually the book we have in here. So what we're trying to solve here is the future value. So look at this one right here. I want to solve the future value. So if you look at the solve here is in a green color, SOLVE, solve. Is in a green color. So in order to solve this one, I will have to hit alpha, enter. So alpha, enter, will solve this one right here. Alpha, enter, will solve. Okay. All right. So sometimes people say, why I get a negative value in here? So in order to get a positive, we usually using the payment amount as negative. So it's 8,000. We usually put this one as negative, and then you solve this future value, it will be positive. All right, so this will become positive. So payment amount usually is out from your pocket. So we usually like to use the payment amount as negative, and then they will give you the future value is positive. So that will be your future value amount. Okay, so if you deposit $8,000 a year for 40 years, and with interest rate compound 5%, by the end of the 40 years, you will get a $966,398.19. So you almost a million. You almost become a millionaire in this case. Okay, so let's put this one in right here. It said run to the nearest dollar is needed. Okay, so do not run until the final answer run to the nearest dollar. Okay, so what is my near dollar? So we get rid of all the decimal point. 966,398. 966,398. Okay, double check. 966,398. All right, so let's check the answer in here. Okay. All right, so that is the value of the annuity. You have this amount. How much is the interest you earn? Okay, so if you look at your 8,000 deposit, so we have all right, so we have nine. Let's see, we have 8,000 deposit each year for 40 years. This is my principal, okay? So I deposit $320,000 into the account for 40 years. So that is the principal, okay? And my annuity value, okay, let's see what is my annuity value in here. My annuity value is 966,398. 966,398. Okay, minus this principal. All right, so that is the interest I earn. So you can see I am more interesting than the principal in here. 646,398. 646,398. All right, so that is how you do the interesting, and this one right here. So you can see using the app is so easy. All right, and let's look at the next question in here. We can also using this one to find a periodical deposit. We can even using this app to find the interest rate. Anything in here. All right, so let's go to the app again, and then using the finance, using the TBM solver. I'm going to clear everything. Go to the app, finance, TBM solver. Okay, you can clear everything in here and then to meet the one you have in here. So right now we want to use the appropriate formula to determine the periodic deposit. So that means we want to determine the PMT, the payment amount. Okay, how much of the financial goal come from deposit and how much come from the interest. All right, so this one we want to deposit at the end of the each year. It compound only 3% annually for 14 years. The financial goal here is by the end of the 14 years, you want to have $160,000. Okay. We want to use the formula in here, but as I said earlier, I want to this one you want to find a payment amount. All right, I'm using the app here very easily. So it compound annually, so it's 1 times 14, right? So we're gonna deposit 14 times. The interest rate here is 3%. Okay. Uh, present value PV is a present value is 0. We don't have anything right now. Payment amount we're gonna come back to solve. That's the one we're gonna come back to solve. So I just put a 0 in here. Our financial goal here is 1,600, 160,000. Okay, 160,000. And since it compound annually, so we also compound and payment per year is P. All right, so we want to see how much also payment is at the end of the period. So we want to come back to solve this PMT, this payment amount. So again, I can just using alpha, enter is solve. All right, so that means I will need to deposit $9,364 for 14 years in order to get this amount, okay? Round to the nearest dollar is needed, so we're gonna have a 9364, 9364. All right, so substitute the value to the appropriate formula, round to the nearest dollars. Maybe I need to round up because this one, if I round down, I might not get the exact amount for $160. So I'm gonna just have to round up a little bit since you said round to the nearest dollars. So even I have a 21 cents. If I miss 21 cents, I might not get its amount. So I might have to round up a little bit in here. So I'm gonna have a 65 instead. All right. So if I deposit $9,365, I will have a little bit more than this one right here. Okay. So this one you want to round up instead of the regular rounding because when I see this is 0.21, I round down. If I round down this one right here, I don't have this financial goal. I will have a little bit less than $160,000 in here. Okay, so in this case, you want to round up in order to meet this financial goal. All right, so since your periodic deposit is this much for 14 times, right? Only once a year for 14 years. The amount of this come from the deposit and which one come from interest. All right, so since we deposit this much, okay, we deposit 9,365 one times for 14 years. So this is our principal, okay? So this amount is the principal in here. 131, okay? And the interest rate is 160 minus. Okay, so you earn this much interest. You earn $28,890 for the interest. Okay, so you have a 131,110, and we have a 28890 is from the interest. All right, so that is how you do this type of question. You can see using the app here is so easy, right? We can do one more in here. This one is just a soft P in a formula. What does the resulting formula describe? All right, so this is the total amount, A, P here. You can just using the A. All right, so if I want to do this one, this will be A times R, right? and then divided by the 1 plus r to the power of t. Okay, make sure you cursor it down, and minus 1. Okay, so that is you solve for p in the formula. So you need to isolate p, right? So in order to isolate p, you multiply both sides by the r, get rid of denominator first, okay? And then you divide by the whole parenthesis for the coefficient, okay? All right, so that is solve for p in here, okay? What does this formula describe, okay? You can see the deposit at the end of the each year. Okay, I will let this one to let you do that on your own. Okay, so this P here is the payment. Okay, and R A here is the future amount. Okay, R here is the annual rate. T here is the number of year. So you will get this one. I will let you choose either A, B, C, or D. I will let you choose this one on your own. All right. Okay, again, solve for P in here. All right, so let's see, this is the calculation. This is another concept. So let's look at this one more time for the app calculation. I want to using the app, okay? You can see this formula is kind of big in here, but using the app is so simple, okay? Suppose that you earn a bachelor degree and now you are teaching high school, okay? The school district offer teachers the opportunity to take a year off to earn a master degree. To achieve this goal, you deposit 3,000 at the end of each year in an annuity that pay 8% compound annually. How much you will save at the end of the 5 years and find the interest? Okay, so this is another periodical, which is periodical deposit or payment. Okay, so that is still the annuity. All right, so we're gonna go to the app using the Finance TBM solver in here. This is also deposit 3,000 for 5 years, right? So at the end of deposit at the end of the year, so that's 1 times 5. So you deposit 5 years. The interest rate here is 8% compound annually. So payment is the one. Payment is 3,000. Okay, we're gonna using the negative for the 3,000 in here. This one is the one we're gonna come back to solve. Okay, all right. So how much will you have at the end of the 5 years? So that means we are payment per year. If you pay this monthly, you're gonna change this one into 12, right? And then the compound will also 12. And since we only payment per year, so compound also per year. So you want to find this future value, just alpha, enter. Okay, let's solve. So if you deposit 3,000 a year for 5 years with 8% compound annually, you will get this much money at the end of the 5 years. Round to the nearest dollars. Okay, so nearest dollars. So we're gonna round this up. So it will be 176. 176. 176 zero zero, only 20. All right, so how much is interest in earn? Well, so for the interest in earn, you were using the total amount, which is 17600 minus the principal, right? So the principal here is you deposit $3,000 per year for 5 years. So this is the principal. So you earn 2,600 for the interest. All right, so this is the app, using the app for the finance question, which is really easy in here. All right, so that is this one right here. So hopefully that help. Okay, let me just go ahead and do, let's see. All right, so it doesn't matter the car loan or the house mortgage, actually it's the similar one, okay? It's a similar one to using this app in here. All right, so go to the app finance, and then using the finance using the TBM solver. So you can calculate any one of these. If you know the present value, payment, future value, you can find the interest rate in here as well. Okay, so you can input any one of these and then find the last one in here. It doesn't matter the payment amount, future value, or the present value. You can always find using the alpha enter solve to find any one of these. All right, so hopefully that helps.